Okay, let's keep this as the whole and look at another example. I'm going to grab a stick and 3 ones. So let's look down here again. Keeping this as the whole quantity, so our whole is the flat. My parts, I have 2 flats, 1 stick, and 3 dots. So let's think about what each of these are worth relative to the whole. Each of the flats is worth 1 because this is 1. So I have 2. This is worth 1/10 in comparison to the whole because I can fit 10 sticks. If this is the whole, this is a 10th. I have 1/10. And if this is a 10th, this is going to be a 100th because I can fit 100 of these within my whole. So I have 2 plus 1/10 plus 3/100ths. 2, 1/10, 3/100ths. So I could say this I could write it as an equation, or I could also think of this as 2, and what's the fraction content total here? Well, I actually have 13, right? 10, 11, 12, 13 hundredths. So I could also say this is 2 and 13 hundredths. You can see that we're actually starting to make a link between an equation that would relate this, 2 plus 1/10 plus 3/100ths, to an actual expression, 2 and 13 hundredths. Or, even better, since we're talking about decimals, we have 2.13. 2.13. All because this is our whole. Okay, one more example. We're going to leave this here and again switch this out for a different whole. How does this change if our whole is the cube? Well, now these are worth 1/10. This is worth 1/100th because I could fit 100 of these in here. And each of these are worth 1/1000th because there's actually the equivalent of 1,000 small cubes that can fit in this large cube. So I have 2/10ths, 1/100th, and 3/1000ths. So this is my whole is going to be the equation 2/10ths plus 1/100th plus 3/1000ths. Or I can think about how many parts I have altogether. Well, I have 100, 200, 210 plus 3, 213 little dots here represented, right? If I think about all the little tiny unit cubes, there are 213 represented in this group here. So that means I have 213 out of 1,000. 213 out of 1,000. So that's 213 thousandths, or as a decimal, 0.213. This is a pretty high level thinking assignment in a sense. And actually, thousandths aren't necessarily our big concern at the grade level that we're talking about here. But if you have a high achieving student, you might want to add that in. And I certainly wanted to add it in for you as a parent in case you want to experiment with some of these yourself.